Onto the news, and things are not looking good for Bradley Wiggins at the moment. He's reportedly facing bankruptcy over unpaid debts of almost £1 million. It's a bit of a complicated one. Essentially, it stems from his business, Wiggins Rights Limited, going into liquidation in 2020. As part of that process, the liquidators are saying Wiggo owes almost £980,000 in relation to a director's loan made to him. They're saying if he doesn't repay it, he'll have breached the terms of the liquidation agreement and could risk going bankrupt. Wiggo disputes the £1 million claim and is currently trying to fight it. Liquidators now look to sell the intellectual property rights to the trademarks Bradley Wiggins, which is his name, that's insane, Wiggins and Wiggo to recover the cash. In response, Wiggo told Cycling Weekly that his money problems had gone on for a few years now with no apparent end in sight. He added, "It's a very historical matter and involves professional negligence from others that has left a shit pile with my name at the front of it to deal with."
What a sad story.
Yeah, it's my first emotional reaction to this is really sad. I like Bradley Wiggins. I think he's really funny. I think he's a great personality, and he's achieved insane feats on the bike.
He made cycling cool.
Yeah, he's also a big guitar man.
Is he?
So it makes me feel like I've never actually met him. I've been in the same room as him and sort of like nodded. That's been it. But yeah, I'd love to meet him one day. This is really sad and a shame. Can you explain?
Probably not.
The business side of this. There's some things I don't quite understand.
I don't know enough about it. Which bit's jumping out at you?
He has a limited business, which is his name, which is how a lot of people set up their self-employed stuff for all of the...
He had multiple, I think there's a couple of businesses which did different things. Typically, really rich sports people run all of their income through limited companies as a right. So they usually have a company which is like the right to Francis Cade, and then that business operates all of the stuff associated to you. So like Ronaldo, for example, will probably have a business. I think there's been crackdowns on this because it's technically tax evasion in a sense of you're earning an income and therefore you should be taxed as an income, whereas you can use limited businesses to push that income into various places and blah, blah, blah and pay less tax. I don't know the ins and outs of this. It's probably very complicated. By the sounds of it, he's suggesting that he wasn't actually operating Wiggins Rights Limited, which is probably fair because he was a professional athlete doing that and probably had people doing things for him.
Yeah.
So, professional negligence suggests that someone that was working for him, that was paid to professionally run his business, didn't do things as he was expecting and has left him in a bad position.
What's a director's loan?
So that would be money the business loans to a director. Typically, director's loans have to be paid back within, I think it's 10 months and then you have to pay interest on it, and there's tax charges associated to director's loans. A director's loan is different from income or dividends. So it seems odd that there would be a director's loan of that scale. It's essentially a very complicated, probably very stressful and horrible position that he is presumably not going to be able to get out with easily, otherwise he would have got out of it. So hopefully he can get it resolved and finds a scenario where he can crack on doing the stuff he wants to do. Yeah. But it's a shame, He's been an inspiration to many people. He's an incredible athlete and has had some really rubbish stuff over probably bits and pieces of his lifetime that he's talked about as well in the past. And hopefully he lands on his feet.
Yeah, I want to see him back on TV.
Yeah, definitely.
I want to see him doing his motorbike thing during the Tour de France, where he's doing like the live feed of him with a microphone, like interviewing people in the race.
I tell you what, when we are ready to start bringing more presenters, someone like Wiggo as a full-time Cade Media presenter, can you imagine? Can you imagine? That would be so sick.
It would be weird if someone bought his name.
That is weird, right? I kind of get the Wiggo and whatever the other one was, but it's his actual name. You can't like.
I think in a world of social media, I don't think that works anymore, because in the past, celebrities haven't had their own platform to talk about what they want, so they relied on, I guess, like press and that kind of thing. So if, for example, I wanted to buy the rights to Wiggle and then set up a business that was called Wiggle whatever, it might be harder for him to prove that he's not associated. But he can just go on Instagram and go, this isn't me, I've had to sell my name, and people aren't going to buy it. People love Wiggle and therefore are going to support Wiggle. And then if he says this isn't anything to do with me, I just don't feel like there's only value attached to that if it's actually directly associated to him, surely.
Yep.
I feel like that is a fair analysis.
But obviously the business is just trying to recover money from assets, and maybe that's the only.
It would only
asset.
have value if people are Googling Wiggo or Googling Wiggins, and then it comes up as like, oh, it's a cycling kit brand or something like that.
It's just weird and it's dirty, and I feel like if I was a business, I wouldn't want to be associated to the downfall of someone who's such a great hero and is like an inspiration. So you can't sell off his name.
Some businesses don't care. Though,
It's weird. It's icky, isn't it?
It feels like a threat to me because they know they're not going to recover £1 million from selling the rights to those words. So I feel like it's a threat.
Yeah. I think you're right, Jimmy, though. It must be horribly stressful and rubbish to have it happen and have it happen so publicly. The reason we're talking about it is because it's been the biggest bit of news that's come out this week. But poor guy. I love Wiggins. I think he's great.
Yeah. Household name. And like in the UK, household name. For the American viewers and people abroad, like they might not know of Wiggins as much, but
I disagree.
Everyone, like
that can't be true.
People who aren't into cycling here, everyone knows Wiggo, don't they? It was during the Olympics and everything. Do you remember that?
It was such a great time, wasn't it? There was a massive boom of
because of him and Team Sky.
Totally.
Yeah. I reckon more people know. The average person on the street in England know who he is over Mark Cavendish.
What about Wales and Scotland?
Not
them.
No, not them.
Okay, cool.